Why does sex too early in a relationship lead to dissociation rather than deeper connection? If you want a deeper relationship, when is it too early to have sex? Well, there's a couple of things to understand. The first thing to understand is that we all dissociate at certain intensities of fear, of trauma, discomfort, right? So the more we're likely to feel, the more we're going to dissociate. We dissociate if we are a car having a head-on collision with a wall, right? If we see the wall is right there and we know we're going to hit it, we dissociate. We leave our bodies. It's like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to look. I don't want to look at someone else, right? We dissociate from what we're afraid of. Now, why would sex lead to an increase in dissociation? Well, sex leads to an increase in impact, right? Mental, emotional, physical impact increases as a result of sex. Now, the only way to not have it increase is to actually dissociate from that impact. So, why do we associate and why do we dissociate? Well, we dissociate from anticipated pain, right? So what is the anticipated pain that we dissociate from after having sex immediately right after meeting? Well, anytime you have sex, you do so with subliminal or conscious hopes, dreams, expectations. In the best possible world, you've just met your soulmate and they like you more than they like anyone else. They want to have sex with you again. They don't judge you. They're going to help you feel seen and understood. They're going to help you meet your needs. Your whole world is going to open up because you've met someone, they like you, they form an attachment. Okay. Now that's a world that you want to associate with. If you were certain that the person you were making love with or just made love with, if you were certain that that person liked you, wanted to see you again, was as interested in you as you are in them, was going to enable your growth and development at an exponential rate, that everything you liked and valued in life was going to get better because of that relationship. Well, you'd be so enthusiastic. Hey, how are you? How was it? How did you sleep? Let's go do this. Let's go do that, right? Let's get going, right, on this exciting new reality, right? That's something you lean into, right? On the other hand, if you knew for certain that this person despised you, that this person wanted nothing to do with you, that this person was a liar, that they were a cheat, that they had STDs, maybe they've already given it to you, that they're a criminal, that everything about them is terrible, or everything is perfect and they want nothing to do with you, right? And perhaps even worse. If you knew that, then just get away. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to, just get away. Okay, right? So what happens when you have this evaluation right after meeting? You meet, you have a little dancing, you go home, you drink a little whiskey, you have sex. Well, you wake up the next morning with a hangover, and of course, if you knew that this was the one and all of that, you'd be excited. The hangover will soon be over. We're just beginning. This is exciting. right? But you look at the statistics. Now, obviously, you've never met that person yet. Right? You've never met the person in your entire life who loved you more than they loved anyone else, who was incredibly excited to get to connect and engage in the way you like to connect and engage, who didn't criticize your faults and who helped you grow and become the person you wanted to be. You've never met that person. Or if you did, you were a goddamn fool for leaving them, right? Which means that you didn't think they were that person, right? You may have been a fool, you may have met them, and they could have been all that, but you were too dumb to recognize it. You saw something else, right? But either you were too dumb, or you haven't met them, or both. And that's so 100% of the time. Like if you were smart enough and they were it enough, why aren't you with them, right? Why isn't your life unfolding at, a faster pace and much more fun and close and all that, right? The amount of mediocrity, I mean, you're not in a bar with quick hookups if you've met that person and you were smart enough, right? Or sometimes it's smart enough to believe that you're lovable, right? There's a big disconnect around that, right? But either way, you weren't smart enough to know that you were lovable. You weren't smart enough to see that they could be loving. You weren't smart enough to trust them, right? Or they weren't it, right? Because no one who finds that, which is 10 to 20 times better than the mediocrity of loneliness or the mediocrity of quick hookups, says, this is just so satisfying and so fulfilling and just so much better than anything else I've experienced. I think I'll do something less, right? I mean, people that don't believe they deserve it and therefore it's going to end no matter what will maybe pick the lesser path. But nobody who's smart enough to know that that's in their grasp and they don't turn away from that. So what is there? Disappointment. They looked hot on the dance floor. Then I learned they've got a hip replacement and hobbling along. They were hiding that. Then they don't have a job. They want to borrow some. It just gets worse from there, right? Now you have to make that call with a hangover at 10 a.m. the next morning. Like, is the one really hanging around in bars or doing? I don't want to be here when all this shit unravels. I don't want to be here. And I don't know how bad it could be. So we have the fear of the unknown. Why is it unknown? Because you didn't bother to find out, right? It's unknown. The fear of the unknown is the greatest human fear. By not bothering to know someone, you expose yourself to the fear of the unknown, right? When you have to decide, at 6 in the morning, at 9 in the morning, in a groggy state, do I go deeper? Do I lean in with this person and validate and justify and all that and let the relationship grow, or do I slip away? Do I lean in or do I slip away? Well, if I lean in, I've got to face the fear of the unknown, and I've got to face a horrible track record. What's a horrible track record? Well, I've never found that one, so I've been disappointed and heartbroken and betrayed and irritated and frustrated and all that, right? Then there's the fact, okay, right, even if they weren't the one, they were, a poor facsimile of the one. What percentage of the time have they rejected you, not shown up? And to lean in right as you're being rejected, that doesn't feel good, right? So let's just move away, right? So in other words, facing the fear of the unknown, facing the horrible statistics that they're the right one, and facing, perhaps horrible statistics that they will reject you even if you don't reject them, they're all painful things I don't want to deal with. And the odds are stacked towards pain. They're stacked towards disappointment. It may never get any better than this. The sex may not get any better, right? The illusion that they could have been something isn't going to get any better. You'll have spent another few days with them and seeing all their stupidity and they see yours. It's just not going to get any better, right? So let's just dissociate. Bye, right? Let it be a mystery. Maybe it was the one, right? But let it be a mystery. In other words, if you have sex too often and have to face that barrage, you're going to dissociate rather than associate. So what is the point where you're more likely to lean in than to dissociate in a lover relationship? Well, it's not black or white, but if you know each other's deal breakers, right? I've got a deal, I can't stand smoking or whatever. And but by the way, do you smoke? Yeah, I do. Well, I can't stand that, right? We may or may not have sex or whatever, but it's not going to be the one, right? I've got a phobia about this. I won't fly, right? Are you willing to accept someone that doesn't fly? Well, it's pretty awkward, right? I like traveling. I kind of would like to travel with a significant other, not alone. And, you don't want to fly. It's pretty long to take a 2-week vacation by boat if that takes 2 weeks to get there. So, that's not very good. If you can have a conversation about the uncomfortable, awkward, deal-breaking, red flaggy, all that type of thing, and you can say, look, I'm not perfect, you're not perfect. That should be obvious. And I'm not exactly what you're looking for. I'm not exactly what I'm looking for, frankly, but and you're not exactly what I'm looking for. But you know what? I enjoy talking with you. That's a good one, by the way, right? Since you talk a lot more than you have sex in a long-term relationship, statistically speaking, I like talking with you. And I like going with walks for you. And no, I'm never going to see your politics, and I'm never going to do this, and I'm never going to do that. But I like walking with you. I like talking with you. I like holding hands. It's a nice feeling. And, maybe we can have, it might be nice to have sex at some point or from time to time. But I would enjoy seeing you. I would enjoy being with you. I'd enjoy discussing some of these topics. How about it? How about it? If you can get to that point, right? Now, how do you get to that point quickly, right? Because you don't need days before having sex, but you do need to get to that point. Well, you first of all, do not put any effort into concealment. You don't learn that your new friend has a cat allergy and say, oh, I hate cats when you've got 2 cats at home because So you're not at that point until both people see the things that are most likely to upset them. They have an allergy to this, they have an allergy to wheat and you're a pasta chef. That'll ruin it for some people, right? But not for others. There are other things than pasta. There's plenty of people love my pasta. Or maybe I'll learn to cook it with, make a gluten-free pasta and see what I can do. Or, there's ways around that if you're interested in finding them. So the point when you can have sex together and it brings you together is the point where I know the things about you that may or may not upset me, and you know the things about me that may or may not upset you. And without any compulsion or addiction or lust kind of overshadowing that, we can say that, you know what? I would enjoy my enjoyment in your presence, my enjoyment of having these kinds of experiences. I would enjoy having this kind of relationship with you, right? How about that? How about that? I see clearly, right? I have no illusions, right? Well, if you can build that sense of container, right? And shared expectation, like, I'd like to be closer to you. I'd enjoy discovering what feelings come up. Would you? I don't want to feel feelings. Well, then you're not at that point when you can risk having sex, because there might be a feeling that comes up and now you have to dissociate from the feeling because you don't want to have that feeling. Right? You have to dissociate because you don't want to have feelings, and sex often brings them up. I don't want to cry. Sex often makes you cry. I don't want to feel needy. Sex often makes you feel needy, right? If you're not ready to feel the feelings that come up, number one, if your partner is not ready to feel the feelings that come up, for not only their feelings, but yours, if you're not ready to listen to your partner, if your partner bursting into tears and discovering that they're not over their ex is not something you're interested in, it's too early for sex. However, if 6 hours after meeting, right, you're into the journey, you've told them, I'm available for this, I'm not available for that, I'd like to explore this with you, I welcome all your feelings. Right? How about mine? Do you want to hear? Do you want to see and feel and notice what's there? Right? I'd enjoy this and this. Well, let's talk about sexual boundaries. There's another thing, right? It's difficult to reject someone during the first sexual exploration. So a good way to parameterize that is to say, these are some of the ways I enjoy having sex. I hate having sex in this way. What about you? What do you like? What do you not like? And okay, I get that you like that. I can accept that. I'm probably not going to go there, but I get that. And I like you, right? I enjoy your presence. I don't need to, do this kink with you or not do that kink with you. It's just not a big deal, right? I don't need to agree with you here or there, right? But I'm up for this. I would enjoy whatever feelings came up for you. If you feel needy, I would enjoy hearing about that. You are ready for sex, right? Because it's going to take you deeper, right? It's going to speed things up, right? And then you can explore the container. Like, how does that feel? Well, I feel more, I wasn't expecting that. I thought I would feel cool and exciting, and now I feel scared. Oh, well, that's interesting, right? If you're interested in the other person and they're interested in you, if you're interested in yourself and whatever comes up, and they're interested in themselves, you are ready for sex. You are not ready for sex if there is buried, unspoken trauma you're afraid of that is likely to come up. Right? For example, insecure attachment trauma, right? Or avoidant trauma, where anytime this feeling comes up, I run away. You're not ready for sex unless you're ready to talk about it. Like, if you don't feel comfortable telling the person, I have got to get away from you at all costs because I've just got this dread feeling and I hate feeling this feeling, so I'm going to run and... or I'm going to talk about this. Do you want me to talk about it, or shall I run and go hide for a few days? Well, either way works for me. I'd love to hear all about it. What was the original? Oh, I can't talk about that. Do you want to go into a little ball? Do you want this? Do you want to try this, right? Shall I just hold you? Or do you want to run away and then we'll touch base in 2 or 3 days? Let's make an agreement within 3 days, right? You can run and hide and do all that. And then, like, if you say, oh gosh, I made such a fool of myself, I can't go back. You're not ready for sex, right? So it takes a certain amount of relating before you can have the kind of relationship that you would want to have, right, with a lover, with a partner, right? And include them in it. Say, well, you know, if you don't call me within 1 or 2 days, I'm going to be hurt and feel small, and then I'm going to punish you. Okay, good to know. So you'd like a call the next day. Yes, I'd like a call, and I'd like to hear how wonderful I am, and this and that. Okay, great. I'm willing to do that. Okay, right, so ready for sex on that side. Well, how about this? Well, you know, I hate myself when I cry. And every so often, I mean, it's possible I might cry, but I can't stand, I feel weak, I feel dumb, I hate myself when I cry. Right? Are you willing to let that go if tears come up, right? No, anyone who sees me cry, I just can't look them in the face. Well, can we partner together to see if it's likely? Like, can we be making love and you could say, it's getting sensitive, I want to stop. Meaning it's getting near your tears. Yes, it's getting near my tears and I don't want to cry. Okay. So our relationship takes you towards your tears, but you don't want me to see them. You don't want, you know, and you don't want to be embarrassed about that. You feel that that's embarrassing too. Well, are you willing to let go of that and say that it's not embarrassing at all? Thanks, very smart, very courageous to talk about it. Okay, right? Well, we're ready for sex, right? If we're there like, no, I couldn't face it. I'd feel like such a fool. I just can't do it. Well, then you're not ready for sex, right? Because what's going to happen otherwise is you get near there and it's like, oh, I have to go, and then they'll be, oh, what happened? You didn't call me next day like you said you would, and oh, right. So you have to be comfortable. You have to like and trust the other person enough to traverse the traumatic territory together. Now, being cute does not help in this in the slightest. It can be a disaster. Right? Having a cute sociopath who doesn't know what they're doing is a disaster. And people with unresolved trauma who are traumatically illiterate are sociopathic, not by choice, but because having unresolved trauma leads to dissociation from self. And when you're dissociated from yourself, that is the part of you that could empathize and connect with another. You cannot be empathic to another in a true way when you remain dissociated from your own empathic part because of the trauma. You just can't do it, right? But you're really cute, so a lot of people want to connect with you, which is a disaster because they're dissociated from trauma as well. They're just as dumb as you are, right? They're just as ignorant, as traumatically illiterate as you are, right? So they don't tell you, it's a don't ask, don't tell, and you bump in the night, you touch that little sensitive wound, and the whole thing blows up. Right? You go on your binge, your addiction, you run away, you do this, you do that, the other, and there's no coming back because it all happened too fast, and I don't trust you. I don't trust you because you could have told me some of this and this, but you didn't. It just all shocked me. It all surprised me. It's like you did this and this, this and this. Like, how am I supposed to deal with that? Well, I don't know. I feel such a terrible person. Well, you are a terrible person. You did it, you know, it's like, oh, I can't deal with that. I can't deal with that, right? So that's the end of the relationship. So you're not ready for sex, assuming you want more than a one-night stand that might or might not end badly. You're not ready for sex until you can traverse that territory. I get really scared of this and this and this. Could you hold me and reassure me at midnight if that comes up? Happy to do it. Or, oh gosh, I don't want to deal with it. I'm just, my idea is I'm looking for something really simple. Good luck. And you know, I just don't want to get involved with any of that. Like, I'd like some anonymous one-night stands, and that's kind of, it's not simple, but it's at least unconscious and over fast. So yeah, I'm not into that. And I would say another little subset of that is, what's the intention of the relationship? Like, is it an open relationship? Is it, when I travel through this area, is it a holiday romance and then it's over? What's the idea of this? And are we both at peace with that idea? And more importantly, are our inner childs both at peace with that idea? Right? Because if we have a intense abandonment trauma and everyone rejects me and I'm unlovable and all that, a summer romance may be worse than nothing, right? Because then they're going to leave me, right, all alone and bring all those feelings up, and then they're going to leave, right? And they don't want to hear about those feelings. They just want a light fling, right? And it's not going to be light at all for me. It's going to be terrifying, right? So can you talk about those things? And is the other person kind enough to be interested? If they're not, you're not ready for sex. So good luck. Take care.